Welcome to this interview following the conclusion of a 4-week training workshop to improve the capacity of education practitioners to deliver distance learning experiences to young children. As you are aware, the workshop commenced on March 17th through a partnership among the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, the CARICOM Secretariat, and the Caribbean Child Development Center of the University of the West Indies Open Campus. With me this afternoon is Miss Tessicum Santos, Internship Coordinator, Internship Supervisor, and Lecturer of the Sacred Heart Junior College in Belize, and Miss Fadiki Archer of Guyana, and she is the head teacher of the New Friendship Nursery School and an early childhood education practitioner for the past 25 years. And also with us this afternoon is Dr. Laura Bristol, Program Manager for Human Resource Development within the CARICOM Secretariat. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to start with Ms. Arthur. What piqued your interest in this training session? Why did you take up the opportunity?
Okay, a pleasant afternoon to everyone on the panel. For me, I was selected by my education officers and I took the opportunity because I never pass up an opportunity to learn something new. And based on the topics, I knew it was going to be something very interesting. So I took the opportunity.
And Ms. Santos, why did you take up the opportunity to participate in these sessions?
Okay, when I heard about the opportunity, I welcome it so much because as a supervisor, I do have interns who work at the lower division, which is Infant 1, Infant 2, and Standard 1. And I really felt that I needed a lot more skills in helping my interns.
So, what was your takeaway from the session?
Okay, one of the things that I really took away, I mean, this just uh, amazed me was the fact that I believe we were not really catering to our parents. We were not really considering the parents' role in the early education program. And so a lot was said about that. And now I do take away a lot of things that I was able to bring it over to our interns so that they can assist their parents and have a better program running for them.
Fadiki, I imagine as a head teacher of your school, you are eager to share the knowledge that you have gained with your teachers. Could you tell me how you plan to go about sharing the knowledge you have gained over the past 4 weeks?
Okay, I am quite excited to share my knowledge. I would have related to my education officers what I would have learned, and they are also excited for me to share with not only my colleagues at school, but with from other schools. So I'm quite excited to do that. Firstly, I would like them to know that it's not all about the children and the parents. It's about us as educators too, because something that would have stood out to me in the sessions is that if we don't take care of ourselves as educators, we will not be of any benefit to the parents and to the children. So that is something that I would like to start with for my colleagues.
Okay. You experienced the range of areas that the training session covered, including how to support parents, as Ms. Santos just said, during home-based learning, the expectations for teachers and children, the appropriate time frame for children's attention span, and how to keep children engaged. What would you say has been the most valuable element for you?
Okay, for me, the most valuable element would have been the behavioral management strategies that we would have learned, because that is something that is common throughout. We have to manage the behaviors of the learners. as well as we have to look out for the parents also. So that is something that would have really stood out for me.
Miss Santos?
Yes.
Okay, for me, the structure of engagement has been very interesting to me. I do believe that that is very important in planning when you consider the situation we now are faced with online and also home-based teaching. So engaging our students is something that is very, very important and something we need to consider. So I'll take away that as well with me, and I am eager, very eager to bring it over to my parents.
I participated in a few of the sessions, and what was interesting to me was the important role that parents are now required to play in remote learning, in home-based learning, and how the home has been transformed into an environment of learning. If there are any parents listening to this interview, what would you tell them in, first of all, trying to bridge the gap that has emerged during this past year with loss of learning, and how do we as parents keep our children involved? How do we keep their attention going?
Okay, I am so happy to know that parents have support now. So one of the things I will reassure parents is that you do have support, and they can contact the preschool teachers, and there are so many different activities which they can be involved in, like especially putting a little learning center at home. And what I really love is that to balance your work and supervision, you can actually get somebody, an aunt or an uncle, to assist you during their little free time so that they feel less stressed out. And I also believe that networking, one parent can supervise another student, especially online during a little story time. You can put up a little video. So it is not the way people used to see it before. Especially here in Belize, some people say, what, I have to teach all day, I have to do everything. I mean, if we network, it is going to be very, how would I say, a very good experience for them as parents. And so the time has come when we have to reach out to each other.
Yes, I would want to support what my colleague would have just said. And to add, I would like to see parents exercising a little more patience. That's a big thing because, I've been getting feedback from parents how frustrating it is to deal with a 4-year-old, so they need to be a little more patient with these children. And they also need to collaborate with the teachers, collaborate with them. Yes, we know that we don't know it all, but by networking with other parents and the teachers, there's so much that the parents can learn. So I think we can have a little more collaboration, and the parents need to exercise a lot more patience with the children.
I think that's a very important point. One of the things that really stuck with me in the session that I was in is how much children still learn from play. And you know how rigid the remote learning situation is. You have to sit the child in front of a computer and expect them to sit there for 3, 4 hours, and there's no room for play. And there's hardly even any room for them to interact with their peers, which is a very important element in their learning and in their social skills and so on. So, Dr. Bristol, I'll bring you in with this point. What do frustrated parents do in trying to navigate getting them to understand the concept they're being taught during the remote learning experiences, but still understanding that children learn during play? Children learn through play. And the whole question about what is a reasonable time span for children's attention.
Right, so thanks so much to Sanki. I'll start where you ended. When we talk about early childhood learners. And you remember that we are talking about early childhood learners. So that's the group of our learners who run between 3 and 5. Typically, it goes from 0 to 8, but the group that we are concentrating on for this purpose here is that group between 3 and 5. And typically, what the standard is that you engage them, concentrate, deep concentration for about 15 minutes, and then you have to change things up for them and get them moving again. So I can imagine as a parent, when you have to think in slots of 15 minutes, that's an exercise in frustration itself. But it's actually quite simple. Where you may not have access to the online reality, and we know a number of our early childhood learners may not necessarily have had access to being able to engage with their auntie Sandra, Uncle Sam on the online environment. Parents can actually begin to think about learning differently. Now, you talk about it as learning through play. I can give you a typical example. When you're taking your child to the grocery with you, and I know a lot of parents avoid taking children to the grocery with them because they think it's an opportunity to spend money that you didn't plan to spend. It's an opportunity for somebody to throw a tantrum in the grocery when they ask for something and they don't get it. So a lot of parents have nightmares about taking children to the grocery, but actually going to the grocery is a fantastic learning opportunity. Yeah, there are literacy opportunities in the grocery where they read labels, they identify their favorite foods, there are opportunities around colors, there are opportunities around orientation, up and down, left and right. You can get them to help you identify items on shelves. So in doing that, but in terms of that every day, your child is actually learning. And very importantly is that you're focusing on communication. You're getting your child to develop those skills around appropriate communication. So as parents, what we really have to do is understand that learning is available in every opportunity. Learning is available in taking a bath at night. You learn anatomy. You can teach your child at that opportunity as well things about how their body works, but you can also teach them about safe and unsafe touches, because we also have to give students and children the capacity to identify when they're feeling threatened. So you can use bath time as an opportunity to address some of those issues, get your children talking. Being in the shower is quite relaxing and soothing. So oftentimes you can reflect upon the day and talk about what made you happy today, what didn't make you so happy, what do we want to plan for and do tomorrow. Those are kinds of conversations you can engage in. Putting away your clothes, packing away your toys, helping your mom prepare a meal. A lot of times parents don't want children in the kitchen because they're thinking issues around fire. Also, they see parents who see the danger, and I appreciate that. But I think it's also important that parents also see being in the kitchen, creating safe spaces for the child in the kitchen as an opportunity for learning. So your daughter or your son might be able to help you collect a pot. Go get me the red bowl from the cupboard that is on the left hand side. So you play these little games with your children, identifying foods, fruits, learning which foods are important for your body and why you need certain fruits and foods in your body. So it's a great opportunity. Every single moment of your time with that child is a fantastic opportunity for teaching while having fun learning as a parent. And I think what we have to do as teachers is that we have to get parents comfortable with that, so that they're not thinking, well, my God, school is closed. I can't drop you into school for 8 o'clock this morning and pick you up at 2:30 so I can have my me time. And me time is important for parents, but the COVID has also created for parents and children a fantastic opportunity for bonding and building those social and emotional skill sets. And it's an opportunity that we should not lose at all as parents.
Dr. Bristol, this training session over the past 4 weeks is one in many that you are collaborating with our partners to build capacity among our teachers in the region. Could you reiterate and underscore how important it is for that kind of exercise during this COVID-19 remote learning reality?
Well, one of the things we have learned, and I think we are continuing to learn, is the importance of collaboration and networking. A lot of us prior to COVID-19, we would have made decisions around how to support our teachers in the classroom, how to support our parents, how to support our learners, based upon priorities around funding, key issues, etc. COVID has shown us that there are certain areas of our educational delivery that we must accelerate, that we have no other option but to accelerate. And if we do not accelerate those and attend to them carefully, we are likely to be creating more problems to ourselves down the road. So our foundation years, and it's a very strong belief I have as a trained primary school teacher, who once upon a time had this notion that I was an early years primary school teacher until they moved me into the senior school, and I fell in love with the senior school. But the thing about it is that your early years moments is the thing that really has a strong, not total, but there's a strong determining factor on how you progress through the rest of education based upon the ways in which you're oriented into education. You know, one of the things that I say all the time is that when we get our young ones in, our young people into schools with us, one of the hardest lessons that we teach them, unfortunately, is how to do school. Yeah, rather than teaching them how to engage in learning. So there's a fundamental paradigm shift that must be made for us to shift from doing school, learning how to sit still in a bench, in a chair for a particular period of time, look in front, don't look left, this regimented way, we call that discipline. But what we're doing when we do those types of things is that we are numbing our children and we are dumbing our children down. And therefore, it's absolutely critical that in the early years, what we want is to have an explosion of neurons. So we want to have those neurons connecting up in some fantastic and alternative ways. The more we get those neurons and those synapses going, the better it is for that child. So you want movement, continuous movement, big movements, small movements. You want talking, a lot of talking. So the notion of noise in a school has to take on a whole different connotation. There's productive noise and then there's just chaos. Right? But what we want in our classrooms is productive noise where children are engaging, they are challenging, they're asking questions. That why question, why is a question that we must encourage our children to get comfortable with asking, because if we don't get them comfortable with asking why, what you have is that they grow into adults who just accepts anything that somebody tells them. We don't want that. If we want to have creativity, we want criticality, and we want innovation, then we must begin from early childhood to get our students to open up their imaginations, create things. So what if I wanted to draw a purple apple? Right? You know, in the world that I live and I imagine, apples might be purple for a particular reason. And therefore, as a teacher, it's my responsibility to say to that student, to ask the student, tell me why you colored the apple purple. You know, because I want them to help me understand how they're thinking, so that once I get that insight, if I have to make corrections, because there's a difference between imagination and reality. You may want to do the reality parts of the lesson at that point in time, but we must find a way through conversation, through questions, to get access to our learners, the way they think, the way they make sense of the world, and help them to be comfortable with engaging with adults. Not in the position where I am afraid of the adult, but in a position where this is somebody who's here to support me into learning new things later on. So different relationships need to be established, and it must start at the foundation years. So there is no topic that cannot be engaged with our early learners. That will allow them to become the kinds of explosive thinkers and the kinds of critical citizens that we need them to be as they go forward in life.
Okay. So, Miss Archer and Miss Santos, what is one of the first thing you will do with the newfound knowledge you have attained? I'll start with
Okay,
okay.
Okay, for
okay. The
me,
first,
Miss Santos, you can go first.
okay. The first thing I want to do is look at my planning. Okay, I want to look at my planning. I want to plan together with my interns to come because we do have interns who will go on internship in August, and we want to look at activities which will engage our students. We also want to look at a plan. We want to have a plan of action in which we are going to involve our parents, be it face to face or online, so that whatever we do will not be only about us, but for the benefit of our students. And like Dr. Bristol was saying, this is a very, very important time in the lives of our students, and we want to move from that idea of quieting the children. Okay, we quiet them down and we punish them whenever they get up. I have a grandson who's frustrated because of that. You know, when his tooth came out and he shouted, "My tooth is out," and he was punished for the rest of the week. And I just couldn't convince his teacher that that was wrong. But I want to change the mentality of trying to go strong, and I'm eager to go there and to have us plan and be ready for August.
That's great. Fadiki.
yes, for me, the first thing I will look at, I will examine what is it we are doing. Is it working? Are we seeing results? And from the answers that we would get from those questions, we will know if we will have to tweak what we're doing or change, take a whole nother approach to what we're doing. Because in the end, we're thinking about the children and we're thinking about the future generation of our country. So we have to think of the best strategies to meet them. Is it sitting in front of the computer working? There are instances when we would have to meet the parents where they are. If we go to the supermarket and we see a parent there and we see the need to engage them there, let's do it. Let's don't just wait on the actual school setting to get it done. Let's do it there. Because there is where that parent might feel comfortable talking to you because sometimes you may have a staff meet up, parents meeting, and some parents will not want to share with you. So if you can meet the parents where they are, we can try to work around the different challenges that we're facing in terms of parents not engaging the children as you would want them to. We will try to, okay, in our situation, we would normally share worksheets to the parents. Some parents do not come to collect them. So, as educators, we can go to meet them. Yes, we understand all of the risks that we're taking, but then we're thinking about our children at the same time. So, there's so many things that I think we are going to do, and I am willing to work with my teachers. I'm willing to work with my parents because I like to see my children succeed. I have children and I don't like to see them being shortchanged. So when it comes to other people's children, I go the extra mile for them.
Uh,
So,
thank you, thank you so much, Miss Arthur and Miss Santos. I'd like to give you the opportunity to say any final words. I know, Dr. Bristol, this training session was curtailed to 40 participants, even though we had hundreds indicating their interest to participate. So, is there any plan to develop a module, an online platform, so that we can really open out this very important training for early childhood practitioners?
Well, we when we advertised, we indicated that we had space for 40 because we wanted to keep it small and intense and ensure that all the participants had the opportunity to engage with the new ideas that were being shared. And if my memory serves me correctly, we had over 450 something persons from across the region applying. So it was quite an experience of the team. And I want to take this opportunity now to thank our collaborators those with whom this would not have been possible. UWI Open Campus came on board immediately when the opportunity was presented to them, and of course our continuous collaboration with the UNESCO Kingston and Santiago offices, who have been great partners for us in the Caribbean. So there is a certain critical need for our early childhood practitioners around enhanced opportunity for engaging on how do we ensure quality learning outcomes for our early childhood students. Yeah, how do we ensure the well-being of our early childhood practitioners? And how do we provide a strengthened ecosystem where the relationship between the child, the teacher, and the parent is enhanced to ensure that they can achieve the outcomes that they want? And of course, we have not even touched the question of how do you provide for early childhood learners who may have special education needs identified. So there is just so much work still to be done. The CARICOM Secretariat right now is in very early stages of putting together, based on a consultation that we had last year coming out of the revision of the early childhood learning outcomes, and our collaborators for that were UNICEF and UWI Open Campus. Again, they collaborated with us on that. And out of that was a recommendation for the development of an early childhood association. And that early childhood association would become a hub of professional networking and activity to connect early childhood practitioners, but also to increase the exchange of ideas and resources. So what form it will take, I cannot speak to as yet, because we're in the very early stages of that engagement. But I think it's something that we can be keeping our eyes on, watch this space, because we do recognize, even the participants in this initial training indicated a strong interest for staying connected to each other, for continuing to speaking to each other across the virtual platform. So we are going to be putting that in place to ensure that they can continue to engage with each other and learn from each other. And then that would be more formalized through a Caribbean CARICOM Early Childhood Development Association, where we can plan for strategically, and I would say tactically, to ensure that we have some continued professional engagements across the region between and amongst early childhood practitioners.
Okay. Miss Arthur, you can pick it up, and then Miss Santos, you'll close us off.
Okay, firstly, let me say thank you to the organizers and the facilitators. We had some wonderful facilitators. And the experience that I would have gained from these sessions, they will last a lifetime. I'm so happy that I'll be sharing with my colleagues, and I know that we can learn from each other. Guyana can learn the best practices from Belize, and likewise, because there are things that we have in common, there are things that we're doing, there are differences, so we can learn from each other. And I'm so happy that I would have had the opportunity to be a part of this workshop session, because I have a passion for early childhood. I have a passion for children. I can't see myself working in the higher levels, but working with these babies, that is my passion.
Okay, I am also as very happy about this opportunity to be selected. I didn't even think that I was going to be selected. I was actually busy. We were working with external assessment in our country, and every time I sat in the infant one classes, it just hurt my heart. And I also had an intern who was an early childhood intern, and I said, "Heartless, let the children do more. This is about them. We talk a lot, but our children need to do." So sharing with you all was such a memorable opportunity for me. I will never forget that. I also love the way my colleagues were able to sing and perform and act. And then I realized, you know what, I need to get out a little bit more when I am also doing some training for my interns, because they need to feel it. They need to feel what they're doing in order to pass it on to their young ones. And I've grown a lot And I believe that during my internship weeks, because it was right during the session, I was able to tell one of my interns, you know what, this is what I saw, this is what you can try. So I was already putting that into effect already with my interns. They were working, and then I said, you know what, get out, just smile. This is what your children want to see. This is what I'm seeing across the Caribbean. And you know what? Their children are so similar to us. We're made up of the same kind of flesh. We may have a little tones in our skins that may be a little different, but we're all similar. Okay? And I like what was shared. I really read a lot of reflections because that's what I did. I wanted to see what people were thinking, and it really, really added to what I'm passionate about. Okay, I love young children. I know that at some point I will be leaving, but I do want to leave a mark. I want my teachers to know, you know what, this is what will make a great child, and it is in our hands. You know, we are the ones who have it now. Because when I went to primary school, we didn't have any school, but now, I mean, the opportunity is there, and I really think that I can't say how thankful I am to the collaborators and to the facilitators and to the colleagues who shared without any kind of how would I say, they weren't shy at all. I was a little bit shy. But I learned a lot from you, Alice. I remember Fadiki's name a lot because she was very how would I say, energetic, and she shared a lot. So I really want to close off here saying that I'm so thankful, and I am going to share what I learned with my Belizean counterparts. So thanks once again.
Thank you so much, Miss Fadiki Arthur, Miss Tessicom Santos, and Dr. Bristol for sharing your time with me this afternoon to share some of the experiences of the CARICOM, UWI Open Campus, and UNESCO Capacity Building Workshop on developing distance learning experiences for early childhood practitioners.